Thank you so much, Eva. It's incredible to look back over the past 10 years. I can't believe how much innovation has happened. And as you said, it's all been about anticipating those shifts in the infrastructure, user behavior, and the changing threat landscape. And we have adapted quickly and moved our solutions along the way. This progression to a platform approach is really been a natural evolution and one that's so needed in the industry right now, I believe. So to take us deeper on Trend Micro One, I'd like to invite my friend and longtime colleague, Wendy Moore, VP of Product Marketing, to the stage. Wendy, welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much, Leah. Really excited to be here. Great morning so far.
Well, exactly.
hmm
Now, I know Eva showed us that platform image, right? That was the first thing that we saw in her presentation. And I really wanted to dive a little bit deeper and look at what's under the covers of that platform image.
Absolutely. The platform image does a great job of giving you that snapshot of what Trend Micro One has for you, but there's so much under the covers. And I really appreciated Ali's take on distinguishing a platform from a portfolio from a point product, as it really illustrated how Trend Micro One is very much a platform. So this is, a bit of an eye chart for you, but we're going to zoom through it and show you all of the details about what Trend Micro One is and how it comes together. So the entire platform is built on a set of common services. So common services like security engines, for example, machine learning or application control, but also things like a common data lake to which we can send the volumes of data that we get from all of our sensors and which we can apply analytics to and do correlation on so that we can give you powerful risk insights. We've also got some common SaaS architecture. And of course, Trend Micro Research is the intelligence that fuels all parts of the Trend Micro One platform. We have over 250 million sensors globally, and that is combined with human intelligence as well. So humans who are researching the cyber underground, but also our ZDI bug bounty program. All of this threat research fuels our products. Built upon these common services, though, are a layer of protection solutions. And the first of these is Workforce One. Workforce One is basically a solution that protects your users and all the tools they use to do their job on a daily basis. So things like endpoint security, email security to protect against phishing and business email compromise attacks, but also protection of your users as they use SaaS-based applications. The second protection solution is Trend Micro Cloud One. We're very well known in the market for this. In fact, we're a leader and number one market share. And Cloud One basically secures the things that your builders are creating in the cloud. So the applications that they're building, the infrastructure they're building. And it delivers all the protection solutions you need for everything from workloads to containers and serverless, even file storage or scanning your code repositories for vulnerabilities. So we protect against the threats that these different types of infrastructure are exposed to, but we also make sure that there's no misconfigurations of your cloud infrastructure, which can expose you to vulnerabilities. And then the final protection solution is Network One. So Network One protects your network regardless of where it is. And so we can do network security in your office, in your data center. And coming in probably, I'd say about 2 months' time, we're going to be launching a secure access service edge project, which will allow you to go on a first step, really important step towards achieving zero trust framework in your organization by doing risk-based profiling of your users and controlling what they can access and what resources are available to them. So the next part of the platform is really what I see as such an exciting piece. And this is where there's been so much innovation at Trend Micro in the last little while. And that is Trend Micro Vision One. This is the piece where your security operations team spends their time. This is where they go to do their extended detection and response, to do hunting and launch investigations. This is where they have centralized visibility of your entire environment. And because we've implemented this attack surface risk management lifecycle that Eva talked about, we now have amazing risk insights for your analysts, for your security operations teams that help them to simplify investigations and prioritize where they're going to spend their time. And also reporting. Reporting is really important. Different stakeholders have different requirements, and that's why we've created executive level dashboards that you can drill down into the most detailed parts of your environment. So these dashboards give you at a glance view of what your risk posture looks like, how it's changing over time, and what your priorities should be in terms of risk mitigation. So really excited. You're going to see a lot more on all of these new security operations capabilities coming up in some demos moving forward. But we know it's not just about technology. It's about people too. You know, one of the number one things we hear from customers is a challenge they have is having enough resources and having the right skilled resources. And that's why we wrap an entire set of managed services around Trend Micro One, so that we can help augment your team so that you can get the most out of Trend Micro One. So we offer services like managed XDR, incident response, onboarding services so that you're set up and configured the best way possible. And then finally, we aren't an island. As Ali said, there is so much important information that is in all the tools that are available in your environment, from operations tools to security tools. And that's why we've integrated with several key players in the industry to improve our visibility of your attack surface, to improve our understanding of your risk, and to streamline risk mitigation.
Oh, that's amazing, Wendy, to see that entire stack diagram being built and really shows us what's under the covers of that more simplified platform image. You know, security across layers. I love the Vision One with the ability for that analyst experience to be able to see everything come together there. But what are the three big takeaways, three big values of the platform?
Yeah, you've heard a lot so far this morning, and there's still much more exciting stuff to come. But what I really think it comes down to is helping our customers to understand, communicate, and mitigate risk. You know, we've got this attack surface risk management lifecycle that just is continually operating to give you the best possible view of your attack surface, to tell you and your analysts what you should be doing next, and really to streamline all of those processes. But really, it also helps you to communicate, right? We know we've got the C-suite, we've got the board that you need to communicate your risk situation to, and these dashboards will help you to do that. The other key thing that we do is we help you to improve and become more agile and simplify compliance. So, you know, you can quickly pivot as new business requirements, new technology requirements, or new compliance requirements come along, because we're able to cover your cloud, we're able to cover your endpoint, your or your email, and also your network, all from a single solution, so that you can easily adopt new technologies and secure them as they come into your environment. And then finally, my favorite part of Ali's talk was about the analyst experience, because that was my favorite part, because we have put so much focus on the analyst experience. So we've really worked on workflows, implementing things like security playbooks that will give an analyst, you know, insights as to what they should be doing next, give them expert recommendations, and help them to learn on the job. So we can up-level an analyst from being a level 1 analyst to a level 2 or a 3.
Excellent. Can we take a deeper look?
We absolutely can. And with that, I would like to welcome my colleagues Frank Kuo, our Chief Platform Officer, and Rachel Jin from our product management team to take us a little deeper and show us Trend Micro One in action. Over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Wendy. So when we introduced Vision One, launched Vision One a year and a half ago, basically our goal was to focus on the XDR, right, with the goal of giving you the best detections and faster response to threat. And this year, I'm very happy that we're so focusing on this attack service risk management lifecycle across Trend Micro One platform. And the Vision One is at the core of Trend Micro One platform, which will give you and provide and help you with the discovering attack service and understand your risk posture with our attacks service risk index, risk insights here, and provide you the executive level and operational level dashboard and reporting for you and your organizations to better understand, communicate, and mitigate the risk. So let's drill down to what we have learned from Eva earlier about this Trend Micro One platform, which is centering around this attack service risk management lifecycle. And the whole lifecycle is a continual process of 3 steps. One is discovering attack service. Next is assess your risk, and then mitigate the risk. So what is exactly the attack service? It is a totality of all possible potential touch points that are exposed to the cyber risk. Okay. So for example, you have a unpatched web server, public-facing web server, and you have an AWS 3 bucket with a weak password, or you have employees working from home using a unmanaged device and trying to access your corporate resources. So as you grow your business and your company is embracing the digital transformation, you're actually facing a very complex and very massive attack service. And it is very dynamic and it's constantly evolving. So you better to have a very solid mechanisms to continuously assess your environment so that you have a better visibility on attack service. So how Trend Micro help you discover attack service? First of all, Trend Micro collects a vast amount of detections and collects telemetry data from our sensors across cloud, network, endpoint, and sensor, and emails. And there's some third-party tools you're using that are also very, very fantastic source of data, like Active Directory, Splunk, and Qualys. And recently, we also partnered with BitDiscovery to improve the visibility you have. You're missing the visibility of your external-facing cyber assets here. So as you can learn from our news release yesterday, we're actually embracing the whole ecosystem partner, trying to mitigate a gap of the security operation for you, right? And we'll continue to invest in the integration with the ecosystem partners to make sure to maximize the visibility for you. All right, so obviously, the more sensors you deploy, the better the visibility you can have. Right? But unlike traditional asset discovery tools that only give you a list of asset inventory, our approach is unique. So while we are discovering attack service for you, we're actually mapping the connections and activities between the assets and the user account and building what we call the knowledge graph. This is a very critical component and factor when you assess and calculating the risk. And this is also a very powerful visibility tools for your IR teams to conduct the incident response as well as the operations that are necessary to facilitate the jobs. Now, let me turn to Rachel to give you a quick demo of how we help you discover attack service.
Thank you, Frank. This is exciting. And let me run the first demo. So the first step in understanding our risk posture is discovering our cyber asset attack surface, including both internal and external assets. Today, the new attack surface discovery finds known and unknown devices inside and outside the corporate perimeter. It also supports the discovery of internet-facing assets, including public domains and IP addresses. In Q2, we will add user accounts discovery. We also plan to expand use cases to discover much more of the attack surface, including cloud apps, cloud workload, and cloud storage, which is coming soon. Let's start from device. Let me show you how we discover managed and unmanaged devices. Vision One's attack surface discovery creates an initial estimated number of devices based on seat count, telemetry data, and devices discovered through third-party integrations such as Active Directory. We can also identify risky devices and see the level of security applied to devices which are managed by a Trend Micro agent. Vision 1 allows you to drill down to examine the attack surface more closely. To do so, simply click on one of the numbers in blue. By drilling down into the Attack Surface Discovery app, we can examine the risk insights in detail. Here, you can see how we help the SOC team to prioritize and manage risks by showing the devices most at risk. At every stage of the attack surface user interface, we actively encourage customers to enable as many data sources as possible. Let me click to extend the visibility. Here, you can see the list of all data sources. The more data sources that are connected to the Trend Micro 1 platform, the more complete your overall security posture will be. Vision 1 includes connectors for Trend Micro products across the endpoints, email, web, server, and network platforms. In addition, we also have an ever-evolving ecosystem of third-party integrations, helping to build a more complete attack surface visibility by including risk insights for user accounts, Office 365 usage, vulnerability management, and third-party web and firewall telemetry. And more will be added in the future release. Now, let's move to the next attack surface, internet-facing assets. Trend Micro has developed a partnership with BitDiscovery to discover internet-facing assets. Vision 1 will correlate data from BitDiscovery and other existing data sources to discover domain names and public-facing IP addresses. Vision 1 knows every bit of the internet, making inventory management quick and easy. As you can see, Vision 1 has identified the domains and public IP address. Assets are geographically identifiable, easily helping to identify any rogue public-facing assets. You can drill down into these internet-facing assets and identify unexpected services and ports that are in use. Additionally, we can also see security issues related to our domains, for example, weak encryption and certificate issue. We plan to introduce the discovery of user accounts in Q2. In this case, it doesn't need to have a Trend Micro agent deployed to retrieve this information. Vision 1 could see the attack surface of user account from Active Directory and prioritize the user account risk by showing the users most at risk. As we discover user accounts, we map connections between each account using the asset graph so that over time, we are able to discover more assets and their relationships, and also learn more about the attack path and the risk profile. For example, we will look at multiple accounts used by one device. We look at account privilege, we predict potential attack paths, and more. Like I mentioned earlier, we plan to discover much more of the attack surface beyond user accounts, devices, and internet-facing assets to include cloud infrastructure assets. So this is the demo to showcase the first stage of the risk lifecycle, attack surface discovery. Back to you, Frank.
Right, thank you, Rachel. That's great. Good. Now that you have a visibility of attack surface, but you still have no clear indication as to what level of risk, for your your cybersecurity assets exposed to, right? So the next step is very, very important, which is to assess the risk associated with your attack surface. So now, just because you see same vulnerabilities on two systems, one is your employee's laptop, one is your public-facing web servers, right? Both with the same vulnerability, say Log4j, right? The level of risk can be very, very different when we link to the business potential impact, right? So calculating risk is very complex. So we use artificial intelligence and expert analysis to look at over 700 risk attributes. The algorithm itself is very complicated. Fortunately, we learned from Eva this morning, right? She just came up with another brilliant formula for us to easily understand and communicate the concept of attack surface risk index. So we want to give you the at-a-glance understanding of risk posture of how it's trending over time. So attack exposure. This is telling us how likely you will be under attack. So we can learn a lot of insight from the first step of attack service discovery. And we also correlate, for example, those unpatched vulnerabilities on the operating systems or misconfiguration of your AWS services. And we also analyze the threat data that we collect from our sensors with our correlate with our global threat intelligence services. For example, it is important to factor in threat intelligence into the attack exposure you need to have when we know a specific or particular ransomware group is targeting your industry. Okay. And for security control, it is telling you how solid your the security control you deployed that can fend off the attacks. So we're assessing, we're looking at things like whether or not you have the right or proper preventive security measures in place. How is your security policy? How is your configuration around your security controls? Do you have the required compliance in place? Okay. And the net effect, attack exposure and security control, is how much you can lower the impact and the likelihood of a successful attack. But keep in mind, we're not just looking at one or a few systems here. Right? We have to factor in the level of visibility and the coverage you have of your entire IT infrastructure into this risk calculation so that you can have a more meaningful and a more holistic risk index, if you will. So let me turn back to Rachel again to give you a demo of what we are doing here today in terms of helping you to assess risk. Rachel?
Next, I will show you how we assess risk, leveraging that risk formula. Here, you can see the executive dashboard landing page in Vision 1, which gives the CISO an overall risk index score based upon several factors, including your infrastructure's vulnerability exposures, attack and threat detections, and security configurations. The risk index is a comprehensive score based on the dynamic and continuous assessment. With this insight, organizations can take company-wide remediation steps and preventive measures to lower the company-wide risk index over time. The risk index also enables the CISO to compare their risks over time and see how their organization compares to other organizations of a similar size, in a similar region, or in the same industry. This is often the type of information that the C-level and board wants to see. It provides a way for senior security leaders to communicate their efforts and the results. In addition to the overall company security posture, Vision 1 also provides risk assessments for individual users and devices. Here, for example, if I click one device, we can see the risk factors which contribute to the risk score of this device. And we can drill down into the individual risk indicators, such as XDR detection, cloud app activity, and threat detection. We can even pivot through to the XDR workbench to do further investigation. Now that we have seen the company overall risk index and risk profiling per user or device, we move on to the exposure overview to understand the severity of threats in our environment and the likelihood of them being exploited. Today, the exposure index is calculated by examining unpatched vulnerability, system configuration. However, we will also be adding additional factors, including activity and behaviors. The Unpatched Vulnerabilities tab includes widgets to help understand the state of patching within the organization. Here are some examples. Mean time to patch shows the average time taken to deploy patches, and more widgets to help customers to prioritize vulnerabilities to patch. CVE density, the number of CVEs per endpoint, clearly shows the assets which need immediate attention. By clicking View Details, You can drill down to examine the vulnerable endpoints. Here you can see a list of endpoints and the associated vulnerability count per endpoint. This helps us to prioritize which endpoints need the most urgent attention. In System Configuration tab, we can identify unexpected public services and ports that should not be exposed to the internet. We can also identify hosts with insecure connection issues, which may result in data leaking during data transmission. Let me click View Details to look at the host list with insecure connection issues. Examples include deprecated encryption protocols, invalid or expired certificates, and more. We'll be adding more infrastructure risk factors into the exposure overview in Q2 and later this year, such as cloud security posture management, misconfiguration check in Active Directory, and more to come. Next, we come to Attack Index, which helps the CISO understand the attack intensity on their organization. The index is calculated based on the number of known detections, the number of impacted assets, and the severity of each unique threat type defined by Trend Micro threat experts. This helps prioritize what's critical. The attack index includes widgets, which breaks attacks down into the attack phase and the attack vector. We also show you the latest top 3 threats in your industry and the impact. Additionally, you can view attacks by the attack type and by the attack layer, email, endpoint, or network. This type of insight can help identify where the greatest attack intensity is being felt and shed light on where added controls could be helpful. Next, we have the security configuration overview, which gives the CISO visibility of the deployment of the critical controls. For example, how many devices we discovered, how many have deployed security protection, and how many have not deployed yet. We also provide deeper insight into which security features have been enabled. So this is how we assess risk, by providing C-level management view and a more tactical and detailed SOC view to help our customers to understand and communicate the risk. Back to you, Frank.
Right, excellent, Rachel. Thank you so much. Now, as we're helping you quantify and visualize your cyber risk, right, we're also helping you prioritize those risky events that are most impactful to your business. And we hope you can take immediate actions to mitigate risk. But there are various types of risk events in your organization, right? For some organizations, because of lack of security skills or resources or expertise, they probably don't know how to research on how to take actions, what actions need to take, right? Then for these customers that rely on vendors like Trend Micro to give them the guidance for them to mitigate a risk. But for some organization, of course, with much more mature security operations setup, right? Well, sometimes it's not a question of what course of action they need to take. It's more like a question of how to take the actions more effectively and more efficiently so that they can save time and resources for their security operations team. So with Trend Micro One platform, right, not only we provide the security guidance in terms of the security playbooks here, we also provide an automation framework that allows you to execute the playbooks automatically across Trend Micro product and some third-party tools. Okay, so here's an example of steps you need to remediate when the recent Samba vulnerability across your Linux servers. So as you can see here, with our security playbooks, by automating those manual processes, manual works, or repetitive steps, you can actually save time. You can actually save probably not just hours, probably if not days, right, for your security operation team. And all these security playbooks are centrally provided in Trend Micro One platform and Vision One, right? And you can execute from Vision One console across Trend Micro product and third-party tools. Now, We at Trend Micro, we understand that in order to make attack service risk management lifecycle more meaningful or reliable or trustworthy to you, we need to partner with the ecosystem, right? And like I said, we just made an announcement, 2 days ago, right? The most important is work with the partners to understand how do we fit into their security strategy and mitigate a security gap because of all these tools you're using. And we'll continue to invest in 2022 and going forward, right? And now let me turn back to Rachel to give you the last demo we have here. How do we help you streamline the security operation? Rachel?
Okay, so let's go to the last demo. Now that we have discovered our attack surface and assessed our risk posture, it's time to move on to the third stage of the attack surface risk management lifecycle, risk mitigation. Trend Micro Expert Response Guidance, coming soon, assists our customers with their mitigation efforts. And security playbooks help accelerate internal processes and automate threat response workflows. Security teams can use these automated playbooks to address various use cases, such as threat intelligence enrichment, incident response, vulnerability management, threat hunting, and so on. Playbooks can be quickly and easily created from the predefined templates. Here, you can see the playbook editor, which provides easy automation through a simple interface, suitable for users at all levels of coding ability. The playbook editor enables you to input condition settings, such as operating system, endpoint type, and IP address. And also action settings, such as notification method, and soon the ability to edit the notification template. As you can see, Vision One makes it easy for security analysts to create a playbook from templates. And in Q2, we will support more advanced users with the ability to create their own playbooks from scratch. So this is how we mitigate the risk via an accelerated workflow using Vision One security playbooks. The workflow could be automatically running or could request the user interaction to move on to the next stage based on what customers need. Thank you so much for watching all the demos. Hope you enjoyed our session. I am going to hand it back to Leah and Wendy in Ottawa. Leah, Wendy, back to you.
Thank you so much, Frank and Rachel. It is amazing, Wendy, to see that much innovation. I know we added hundreds of features last year, and it really is good to see it in action.
That is for sure. It's just been so much activity and delivery over the last, year, like you said. And the thing I loved about the demos is they really clearly demonstrated the three big steps in that attack surface risk lifecycle. So, discovering, assessing, and then mitigating the risk. And really, I hope that made it clear to you how we're helping you to understand, communicate, and mitigate risk, improve agility, and really simplifying things for that security operations teams and giving them a great experience.
Well, I know we certainly think this is a cool innovation, but what do the industry experts out there in the market think?
Well, I think of the biggest industry experts as being our customers. And we've had hundreds of customers who have been trying out a lot of the new features that you heard about today. And the feedback has been fantastic. We really inform our product roadmap with that customer feedback. But industry analysts have been giving us great reviews as well. So, really happy to show across the board in Forrester Waves, we're a leader. We're a leader when it comes to endpoint, email, and enterprise detection and response, both EDR and extended detection and response. So really strong there. But it doesn't end there. We are number one in terms of market share, according to IDC, when it comes to corporate endpoint security and to hybrid cloud workloads. So very strong in terms of how customers are choosing us over the competition. One of the more recent results that we've had has been March's MITRE Ingenuity results. So for the last 3 years, since MITRE started doing their attack testing, we've been a leader here. And in March's results, where they did real-world testing against Wizard Spider and Sandworm, we had 100% detection of attack steps. We were ranked #1 in terms of Linux protection and detection, and we ranked #1 as well for protection. So lots of really strong market proof points in terms of testing and also deep analysis on our products that are proving us to be a leader here.
Yeah, great to see that validation, Wendy. So if I'm in the audience, if I'm a customer or a not quite yet customer, how do I get my hands on this technology?
Well, this is, to me, the place that you should be heading to right away. We have a lot of the capabilities you've talked about today are available to existing Vision One customers in preview. The entire platform is available, but because we are a DevOps organization, we're regularly releasing new features, and you can try them out as they release within Vision One. If you're not a Vision One customer yet, why not do a trial? We give you a free 60-day trial where you can try it out in your environment and take advantage of learning that can come from visualizing what's happening in your environment with Vision One. So I encourage you all, within the resources section of your interface, there's a link there to the trial. And if you have Vision One, try out the new features.